Hey everybody, I'm John at Collect Cards. Hope you're all doing well. It's Monday, June 17th, and in this video, I'm going to show the results of a half dozen vintage card lots that I was tracking last night on Heritage Auctions' website for their weekly auction. I know the talk around right now seems to be the vintage is down, perhaps even notably. Maybe because folks are just kind of saving up for the National, which is, a month away or about 5 weeks away or so. So I thought I'd take a look at a few that look pretty interesting, and I'll let you know what I found. Hang on a sec. Okay, I've got these 6 cards here all lined up from Heritage's June 16th Sunday night auction, their weekly auction. I'd usually track several lots, anywhere from 3 or 4 to a dozen. Most weeks, not every week, but most weeks. It's just kind of a fun thing to do. I'm curious to see how certain cards do. Certain cards I might have on my longer term radar, or some just, that week might jump out as something interesting. So here's one for me that was just particularly interesting. It's a beautiful card. 1951 Bowman Yogi Berra in an SGC5, a really nice example. You can see that it went for, with the buyer's premium, $528. Seemed like a big number to me when I saw that this morning, actually. Again, I'm recording this on Monday evening, early evening, June 17th, so a little less than 24 hours after the auction ended. Here's the VCP page for that 51 Bowman Yogi Berra. Let's see what an SGC5 is currently averaging for. As you can see here, it has been averaging $430, and that $528 was last night's winning bid on Heritage. So that Yogi Berra had a nice night. I mean, I'm not surprised. It was a fantastic example, and it as a result was popular and got the bids. So that had a nice result for the seller. Next card I was tracking of 6 I'm going to show here was this, again, another nice example, a 1949 Bowman Bob Feller in a PSA 5. Fairly old slab, not an ancient slab, but it starts with a 2, so it's got some age to it, but it looks pretty good. It probably was reholdered, actually, if I had to guess. May have been. Anyway, a really nice example, a little off center left, but those corners are sharp. It's a little off on the registration, but again, a very nice PSA 5, and as you can see, it went for $420 with the buyer's premium. This is a card I would love to own someday. The Berra would be amazing too, but I actually like this Feller. I actually have on my own VCP want list, although I'm also looking to get the 54 Bowman, since I started a goal to try to get all the 54 Bowman Hall of Famers who aren't in tops already. But I'd love to have both. I don't have a Feller card at all right now, and those two I'd love to have. This was the first one that really caught my attention. I just think it's a beautiful card. So here's what it's been going for on VCP of late. Again, this was a PSA 5. There's that price right there, $420 is what it went for yesterday. And what it looks like there just haven't been as many PSA 5s of late, but one thing I wanted to show at this one, look what a 6 is averaging, $414. 5.5, $384. Look how far down just a 4.5 and a 4 are. This card had a huge night. So this card also, I would say, outperformed maybe expectations of late, if the trend line has been slower sales for vintage of late. But so here's there hadn't been one that sold for over a year in a PSA 5, which is pretty interesting actually, compared to, we had 4 of them last year, but they were all in the 200s except for one. So that card had a pretty strong night last night, the 49 Bowman Feller. Another card I was tracking, this is a card I recently picked up earlier this year and had slabbed with SGC, graded a 3. This one's a PSA 3. It's a Piedmont back. As you can see up, well, actually, I'll scroll down a little bit. You can see it's a Piedmont, John McGraw, PSA 3. I'm not going to bother turning the cards over on this just to, for the ease of just kind of proceeding apace here with each card. But it's a pretty nice example, as you can see. Pretty clean 3, actually. This is a nice card. It went for $228 with the buyer's premium. It is a new slab, newly graded, as you can see there. $228 with the buyer's premium. And let's see how a PSA 3 for McGraw is doing. So right around average on this one, a little just under. So, I mean, when you're talking $5, you could essentially say it went for what its average price is going. So An SGC3, again, which is the one I have, is averaging about 175. Big difference, actually, there. But I guess you could say a not too surprising result there for McGraw, although it is a really nice copy. So in that sense, maybe it's a slight surprise it didn't go for even more, but overall, I'd say a respectable price there. The fourth card I was tracking was this really interesting 1933 Goudey Sport Kings. I think it's also a Goudey. I'm pretty sure these are. I'm actually going to look at the listing here. Yeah, Goudey Gum Company in the description. But this is for multi-sport. Sport Kings was multi-sport, so just a few baseball cards along with several other sports. Carl Hubbell was one of the baseball subjects. I thought, I actually was tracking this for over a week on here because this card actually jumped out to me as a really interesting card. I don't have a Carl Hubbell card, and he's got some interesting ones, but to me, this one is really interesting. And so I'm actually going to keep my eye on this one just, for in the future. If I were to ever be at a point where I might want to add a Carl Hubbell to the collection, this could well be it. This was in a really nice SGC2, as you could see, and the price for it was $300 with the buyer's premium. And gosh, if you're looking for it, I'm not willing to pay $385 at this moment to buy it, but it is a pretty nice card. It's a little, it's dirty. You can see it's got staining on it, but the centering is pretty nice. I'd say overall for the for what it is, for the great card it is, I think it's a nice example myself. So that's why I was tracking it. 300 in an SGC2. Let's see how Mr. Hubbell's doing for this card. Look at that, right on average again. 303, it's roughly being, and that's like really, I haven't clicked in to see how many sales there have been of SGC2s in recent years, but we'll find out. Yeah, look at that. 2 just this year, right around the same price. So it did adjust, I guess, what one might expect. So held steady, I guess you could say. So I would say out of 4 cards so far, 2 outperformed and were pretty hot last night, and 2 were kind of right where they've been. Without much of a drop. Another card I was tracking is a card I actually don't currently have in my collection. I opened several of these as a kid. I just don't have one at home right now. A Rickey Henderson SGC 1980, Topps Rickey Henderson in an SGC 8. Pretty nice copy, obviously, very nice copy. A little off-center left, a little off-center up as well. Buyer's premium price went for $173. I just hadn't tracked one of these in a while. At some point, I'll pick another one up. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be in an 8. I'd probably be fine with a 7, to be honest. Although collector grade 8 would be pretty nice. It's, in some ways, for this price, what I'm seeing for this, considering how iconic this rookie card is, it's kind of along the lines almost like Eddie Murray. I paid a little, just about this price, maybe a smidge more for my 78 Eddie Murray rookie a couple months back. VCP average for Rickey Henderson in an SGC 8. Yeah, there we go. Here's our first drop of the night. 193 has been the average of late, and again, it went for 173 last night. So about a 10%, 11% drop, 12% drop from what it has been selling for average-wise. So that one did have a bit of an off night. And then the last card I was tracking. As in terms of single cards, there was a couple of lots I was tracking as well, and I didn't even make a bid last night on anything, and the lots I was showing were not super notable. So, but the last single card I was tracking this weekend was on Heritage was this 1956 Topps Harmon Killebrew second year card in a PSA 8OC. I think it's a pretty nice 8OC. This is a card that I don't think would get an OC designation today unless the back of it is dreadfully off-center, which I'm actually going to click on and look at. Yeah, I don't think there's any chance this card would be considered off-center today, even by PSA standards. This is a pretty nice card. But as a result, it's I guess the equivalent of a 6. It's a very old slab, as you can see. Right, very old slab. Went for $192 with the buyer's premium. And let's see how that has been averaging on VCP. Go all the way down here to the PSA Qs. In 8, look at that. This card actually had a slow night last night. So it's been averaging about 234. So about $40 less. This was off by about 20%. And I was a little surprised by that result, to be honest. Here's some recent sales. Here's the Heritage one from last night. Even earlier this month, it went for only $159. So it's been a little slow lately. So that is interesting. And both of them on Heritage just in this month. It's a great second-year card. Harmon Killebrew's got a great second-year card. I do have his rookie and a 2 and that I'd love to have. I love having. I would love to maybe even add this one someday. Those 56s are growing on me more and more here in the weeks and months. For a long time, I was not a super fan of the 56 or 55, but in recent, like in the last year or so, I'd say 56 has started to really grow on me a little bit. Part of the reason I wasn't so into it is because they reused the main image so often on so many of the cards that even went back to 54 tops. And so it was almost an instant turnoff for me, but there are just so many examples of the secondary picture or the main action picture being, or, illustration being so good. That, yeah, this is just, there are so many great cards in this set, and this is one of them, in my opinion. I was a little surprised at the result of this, that it went a little low, as low as it did, relatively speaking, given average recently. So there you have it. Those were 6 cards I wanted to share. I would say 2 were hot, 2 were right on average, and 2 were a little off. And so with that, I'm going to wrap up this video. Hope these 6 examples are helpful, if they can add to any kind of anecdotal kind of take on kind of where vintage is at this particular moment, a month or so before the National comes on. I can't wait to be out there. It's about 5 or so weeks away. I'll be out there for 2 days, 1 night, yeah, really looking forward to the Cleveland time. Meantime, this coming weekend, we've got 2 big auctions coming up. We've got the Heritage Sports Showcase for June that ends on Saturday night, and then the following night, Sunday night, we've got the June 2024 Encore for Robert Edward Auctions. These are a few of the cards that I'm tracking right now. And so I'll probably do another video. I don't have a serious inclination probably to put bids on anything. There might be 1 or 2 things. Like here's a 1954 Topps wrapper that I'm actually pretty interested in. I'm tracking that one. But I will probably be back with another video Monday that does a recap of these 2 auctions that end this weekend. So with that, everyone, I'm going to wrap it up on this beautiful Yogi Berra. Take care, everyone. Have a great week, and I will see you on the next video.